here are just a couple tips on things that I still kind of buy into when I'm drafting. I'm very worried about injury prone guys. So if guys are coming off injuries, if I hear they've been battling with hamstrings and groins and turf toe and things that linger, I avoid those guys. And so you want to get updated information on those types of injuries. So that's a key thing for me. Another key thing is I do not buy into the handcuffing strategy, meaning you draft a big time running back and then you get his backup. My philosophy is I want running backs from different teams and I want a running back room that is diverse. This is how I want my wide receivers and running backs. I want it diverse. I want different teams represented and different ages, different status in their careers. I want a couple booms, booms, breakout candidates, couple veterans, couple backups, all that kind of thing. So if I draft Christian McCaffrey, I'm not going to get Eli Mitchell because I want McCaffrey to be healthy. And so I'll go target Jaylen Warren. And not that you hope for Najee Harris to get injured, but if the opportunity arose, now I have Najee Harris, or now I have Jaylen Warren and Christian McCaffrey. So that would be my approach there. The other thing that I think is to be aware of or cautious of, oftentimes positional runs take place in drafts. And so all of a sudden 4 straight tight ends go in a row. Don't take the 5th guy. Just wait. Zig and zag, go the other way. Get the top, another wide receiver in a higher tier that when you come back around, the chances are the tight end is going to be there, but that wide receiver will not, because all those guys that just took a tight end, they're now going to get the wide receiver and you still could have had that tight end anyway. Take advantage of that. Don't get caught at the end of a run. Do not do that. I get worried about that. And then when it comes to guys on your favorite NFL team, sometimes you're too close to that team. Your perception, reality, it's not always there. So I always say, just if you got to get one guy from your favorite NFL team to help you rooting interest, that's fine. Try not to load up. Don't get, if you're a Packers fan, don't draft all Packers players. It could be a long year for you. So there you go. There's a few thoughts. What about for you, Harrison?
Yeah, I think the handcuff strategy is definitely an interesting one because a lot of people have different perspectives on this. I'm with you that I do not want the handcuff on my star running backs team because that's just a roster spot that's unusable because you're not going to drop him, but you also can't start him because your starting running back is playing, so he's not going to be involved in the offense. And you're almost right. Like, you're hoping that your first round pick gets injured, so then this guy in this 8th round that you took pays off, which just makes no sense. Instead, target other people's handcuffs, because then either you'll be able to start them and you'll have another starting running back, or they will definitely trade you more than that guy is actually worth because they need to replace the value that they just lost on their team. So I think you were spot on with that. And something else that I think is important to consider is also schedule as well, because if you're looking at, especially with like QBs and tight ends, one guy this year who I think is interesting is Daniel Jones, because he's someone who we're probably going to think at the end of the year finishes around that QB 10 range. But his first few weeks of the season schedule-wise are absolutely brutal. He's playing some of the best NFL defenses. So I don't think I would want to start Daniel Jones going up against the Dallas Cowboys week 1, even though I may be drafting him as my QB1, which is a tough situation to be in. Same thing with Aaron Rodgers. The Jets have a terrible schedule to start this season. If you're drafting Aaron Rodgers as a fringe QB1, there's no reason to take him if you're then not going to start him against the Bills or not going to start him against Denver because they have amazing defenses. So I think that's something to keep in mind as well. Now, that shouldn't play into, I wouldn't take the RB13 versus the RB14 because of their week 1 matchup, because for running backs, you're looking for a season-long, outcome from them. But if it's a position like tight end or quarterback and you're going to be looking to stream someone week 1, maybe don't draft the QB, 12 to be your starting QB if they have a terrible defense, if they're going up against San Francisco week 1, when you could get maybe the QB 15 a little bit later, who's going up against, Houston or going up against the Arizona Cardinals week 1 instead.
Interesting. All right. So I don't focus too much on the schedules, and I also don't care about buys. I just want the best players on my team. I'll worry about the buys later. It's later in the season. So much changes between week 1 and 7, whenever the buys start. I just can't worry about buys. So I think too often you'll pass on a talented player just because, oh no, they have the same bye week. Worry about that later. You can adjust later. And so there's a few thoughts. The one last thing I was going to say, give yourself one reach. Don't reach all the time. Don't reach for players. You got to understand ADP. Know when you can get a guy later. But if you have a sense in your league, you're like, oh, I bet a lot of guys are going to want this guy. If you really want him, give yourself one reach. And don't be crazy about it. Don't reach 3 rounds. But if it's a round early, it's all right. You can justify it. You can justify, all right, he's going to way exceed expectations. If you truly believe that, go get your guy. How about that?